Some of you will be aware that I've been working in the Commonwealth for the last 6 years. In that period, both in Canberra and since I've been back, one of the most striking features is just how far ahead the level of knowledge and understanding of activity-based funding and health reform is within the New South Wales Senior Executive Service. And that's largely, in fact primarily, been due to the level of expertise brought to this conversation by our Director-General. It's undeniably true that Mary Foley has a greater understanding of activity-based funding than any Director-General in the country. Mary is now going to present to us the state funding model.
Thank you for that introduction, Rowan. I've got a lot to live up to now. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Great Eora Nation, and acknowledge elders past and present and here with us today. It's wonderful to have so many of you here. I think we've got about 500 people all up who are coming, that's a big contingent from right across all our area health services and health networks, pillars, statewide services. We have a range of people from, we've got board chairs, board members of districts, we have clinical staff, we have our executive teams, a whole range of our health system here to find out about what does activity-based funding mean in New South Wales and how we're going to go about it. In this presentation I'm about to give, in about 40 minutes, I'm going to try and work with you to take an audience who I know will have varying levels of knowledge and understanding of what we're about to talk about, from first introduction through to those of you who really want to get into the fine detail as to exactly how budgets are going to work and the technicalities of our pricing models and so on. So I'm going to endeavour to take us on a quite quick journey from sketching out the principles, the context, both state and national, in which we're now doing this, and then a deep dive into what our actual budgets going out to districts might look like on the 1st of July this year. And in doing that, try and put it in a context. In the time, can't even begin to get to all the finer points, but don't panic if I lose you on at some points, because we'll, as Rowan said, we'll make this material available, plus it becomes the basis to then really approach both the panel session, which is after morning tea, and then even more importantly, the workshop sessions in the afternoon, where we can start to sort of take a deeper dive into some of this material and really explore it. The other caveat I have to give is that we are really still, I use the comment, building the plane as we fly it, in that there's still quite a number of elements that have to be resolved over the next few weeks to get to our 1st of July starting position. One of those is the state budget, which comes down in early June, and that's still very much in play. So we don't actually have all our final numbers to be able to conclude our state pricing exercise. So that necessarily creates some challenges. So I can't put definitive state price numbers up, which if in another month's time we'll be able to do that. And the other issue is, of course, that in terms of the national framework under which we're putting all of this is also in play, and IPA comments on IPA's proposed national price determination and categorisation classification system that it's using, and its specifications about what's in scope and not in scope for federal funding and for ABF. Is all still in play as well, and we've just signed off our comments back to it because they're due today. So we also have elements of the national model which are unresolved. I mean, just to give you a flavour for that as to what's in and what's out for being funded through the shared national model and what things will actually now be definitively state-only funded, something we haven't had to make that distinction before. So there are a number of knowns, known unknowns and unknown unknowns, to quote some American former Defence Secretary. But let's see how we go.